Welcome back to the Lub Dub Podcast. I am one half of your host, McFly, joined as always by my lovely, intelligent, and incredibly sexy wife,
Erica.
And today, we're going to talk about an interesting topic, I think. Christian purity, or just in general, should you wait until marriage to have sex? I was interested by a lot of the different videos I saw on this topic. A lot of people talking about, being pure and all of this very interesting language surrounding the Bible and marriage and sex. And so that would be a good topic to dive into. What are your thoughts? Let's start here. First and foremost, did we actually do that?
No.
We did not.
No, we did not.
Now, end the video. Don't do it.
Wait.
Yeah, don't do it. It's not a good idea. No, I shouldn't say that. What was your thoughts on it in terms of relationships and sex?
I think growing up, girls are more, I guess that idea of staying pure is more forced upon us than it is for boys. I do believe sex is special and you shouldn't just let anybody just in your body.
Fair.
But I don't know if I'm necessarily wait for marriage. If I had to do it all over again, I probably still wouldn't wait for marriage.
I think to me it feels like, and again, grew up in the church, Christian, follow a lot of Christian values, and I think, I don't know, it feels like they've turned sex into this dirty thing. That if you do it, you're not pure before marriage, and no husband. I even remember a story. I think I told you the story. I was maybe 16 or 17 at the time, and I was sexually active. I mean, call me a sinner, a heathen, whatever. I was, and my doctor, I was still going to pediatrician at the time, and he asked me. He was like, "Hey, are you sexually active?" And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I figured the doctor would be a place I could talk to him and,
I always lied.
I said the truth. Because in my mind, it wasn't going to stop me. I was like, yeah, I am, what of it, essentially. And I thought he was going to go to like the medical side of it. Just like, oh, well, hey, understand, based on HIPAA law, maybe I'll get you some condoms so your mom doesn't know, just make sure you're safe, about STDs and STIs. I like to go through all of that, right? Like the medical side of it. It's almost like he put on a Bible and it was just like, yo, why would you be doing that? The person that you meet, they don't want you to be pure. I was just thinking like, bruh, this is not church. What is going on here? And I felt really uncomfortable because it was almost like because I was somehow not clean now, someone else I would find later in life would be like, oh man, I love you. You're a great person. I want to marry you. And I realized, and I tell them, hey, listen, I already, have had sex. And they're just like, oh my God, demon, no. Like, throw holy water on me. So I just feel like to me, it just feels like there's a lot of pressure. And I guess this is meant for like younger people, but just in general, people that are in their 20s and 30s that still haven't had sex, they're waiting for marriage. There's a lot of pressure. We make sex like this super taboo thing. And I just think to me, it comes down to what you're comfortable doing. And it shouldn't be something that's really politics by God. There's plenty of things, not politics by God, I shouldn't say that, by the church and by the Bible, because there's plenty of things that don't necessarily make sense. We kind of just let fly.
I don't think there's anything wrong waiting.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong waiting. I do think that sometimes when I see people who say that they're waiting, it clouds their judgment.
Explain.
So, like when there's chemistry between you and a person, more so lust between you and this person, right? You get in your head. Sometimes you get too close, right? You feel all of this energy and all of these sexual feelings, but then you pull back, right? There's that whole, back and forth of that. And then people get tired of waiting. So then you get married. You ignore other things. It becomes the forefront of your mind.
Oh, yes.
becomes the forefront of your mind.
That's a good point.
Like, and then you jump into something that you technically weren't ready for because you had on your mind, I'm ready to share this with this person.
I think that's a good point. It's the two sides of, I'm going to pull back something because I know I'm not supposed to. So you fight nature, right? But then when nature is taken over, you're just like, all right, let's just get married, right? I know people who have literally gotten married because they're like, well, I can't just shack up with you, so I'm going to just get married. If you get married under those types of pretenses in terms of like, I can't have sex outside of marriage, especially for your first time, you'll find yourself making maybe even worse decisions than sleeping with somebody. I mean, you can recover from a bad, a one-night stand type of situation much easier than marrying somebody that's not for you or whatever. Like that's to me a way worse proposition than having sex with somebody maybe and then not working out. It's natural. I feel like, I don't know, man. Church just teaches you that your body's wrong. And I don't submit to that.
You are only meant for procreation. That's it. That's all you can use it for. Just because it feels good doesn't mean it should. I'm assuming.
But then again,
because you're not allowed to masturbate, right?
Yeah, that's against the rules.
That's also against the rules.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's wrong. It's the safest type of sex.
There's something to be said about sex feeling good and you wanting to do it for fun. And I think masturbation falls into that.
There's not that many species of animal that actually enjoy it. So
exactly. So I think sometimes we have to keep in mind God's design. I rhymed on accident, but it did come out kind of fast. Keep in mind God's design. What do I mean by that? God made sex enjoyable. I think he wants you to enjoy it and to engage in it a whole bunch. Because in the same sense, if you get too bogged down on specifically, in my opinion, the letter of the law to the Bible, right? Technically, even in marriage, you should never have sex without the intent purpose of making a baby. There should be no birth control. There should be no condoms. There should be no spermicide ever. You should be shooting up the club, as we call it, every night that you want to have sex. And if that leaves you with 30 kids, 30 blessings from God. But if you know you can't support more than 3 kids, at what point do you make a decision on, you know what, we got to start doing something different? To me, the Bible as your guide, they always say that in church, is fine. But I do think that there needs to be some kind of common sense employed with that. You can't just say, oh, well, yeah, save yourself until marriage. That's the only way you're supposed to have sex when you're married. But what about the other parts? Because I'm going to tell you right now, your pastor, your whoever, your moral leader, your priest, whoever, your bishop, I can guarantee you every time they had sex with their wife or spouse at this point, they have not been trying to get pregnant. So at what point do we tell people the truth of like, do what makes sense for you, but keep God and keep his message at heart? Because at some point we have to be real about it. I just think no one likes the idea of younger people, especially if you go into teenagers, but just in general, young people having fun when it comes to sex. It's just like, no, you got to do it this way and save yourself and be pure. And I hate that idea of it calling it pure. Like, what does that mean? So now you're not pure because you did have sex? That's nonsense.
And this more so I feel like goes for girls.
Yeah, guys just whatever. But I think women do get the short end
of
the stick on that.
There was the whole thing with T.I. It's like, I got to check her hymen. In recent times.
I don't want to go into that.
Oh, finally he came to his senses, though, and admitted that he was wrong. And that conversations work better. But, dude, just even if I have had sex, that doesn't mean that I'm no longer worthy. It doesn't mean that I don't deserve good relationships. It doesn't mean I don't, I'm not a person and I don't have any value anymore.
And granted, I'm sure there are people who are teaching this idea of winning into a marriage and, Christian purity. I'm sure people who are teaching it and saying, if you mess up, it's okay or whatnot. But I do think it's not at the forefront of the focus. The focus is you have to do it because it's what God intended. And I'm worried if anyone trying to tell me what God intended when they don't follow all of the letters of the law that are technically in the Bible. If you live your life by everything that they say in the Bible, then okay, fine. But the reality of it is, no one does. Anywhere on God's lovely green earth has anyone ever been like, yeah, 100%, I do everything according to the Bible. Doesn't it say in the Bible that you can't eat seafood, you can't eat shrimp and lobster?
Can't eat shrimp because they're, I think, scavengers.
Right. So like really, I'm just saying, at some point you breaking something that's in that book. You live your life, and I'm not here to judge, but I have a problem with anybody taking the Bible to justify something that's intensely personal, person to person. I mean, I don't want to say because of slavery.
Very personal.
But because of slavery, the Bible was used to justify that. Because of slavery. Black AF. I'm just saying. It always comes back to because of slavery. So, I mean, at what point are you going to be like, this? Yo, Kenya, holla at me. That's all I got to say. Kenya Bears, holla at me.
Heard you're in talks for CBS, but you know. Anyway.
Just saying. Anyway.
So, I'm going to ask you a question.
We didn't prepare for this. I was not prepared for any questions.
Would you have preferred it if I was a virgin when we got married?
No.
Why?
I feel like, preferred it? No. Would I have been mad if you were? No. But I wouldn't say preferred. There's something to be said about knowing your body. Knowing what you like, what you don't like, because I would say sexual compatibility is a thing. And you want to, it's easier to find it when you know what it is that you like than when you don't know. Now, and then people say, well, it's fun to learn together. I'm going to tell you right now, if you wait to have sex until you're, in your 20s, 30s, right? For example, you're going to have the same skill that 16-year-old me had or 15-year-old me had for the next couple of years. So if you want to go through that, and most marriages end in the first couple of years, I don't know. If you want to deal with all of the trouble and hardship, if you want to deal with all the trouble and hardship of what a marriage typically brings, and also don't know how to sling that thing right, I don't know if you want to throw that on top. I'm being funny, but I don't know. There's enough issues with keeping a marriage strong in the first place. You want to also bring to it you're sexually stupid? I don't know if that's the best way to do it. Oh gosh. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's the best plan of action. I'm just saying.
Imagine you said sexually stupid.
That was maybe harsh. Maybe not sexually stupid, sexually ignorant or unaware.
It still feels hard.
I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. If I go into class, teacher says 2 + 2, I say 7. Well, I don't know. That's what you in there doing. 7, 10, 11. No, wrong answers.
I do think when you shame the idea of sex and masturbation, you end up with sometimes girls take that into their marriage too, and then also don't feel comfortable even when you have the all okay.
Yeah. So if you've been taught forever that your body's disgusting for 30 years, I'm supposed to figure out in the first couple of years of marriage that, it's okay again. You've been ingrained it. And the thing is, in my mind, I would think you have to have it ingrained to last into your 20s and 30s. And do you want me to flip a switch and now it's just open the floodgates? Of course you have repressed energy because you repressed it for decades.
I agree. I do think there is a pro when it comes to having been with someone else, knowing what you like, knowing what you're willing to explore, and being with somebody else. For instance, there's some people who are not necessarily giving, and then sometimes you project that one experience and you project it on everything like it's supposed to be that way. And it's not necessarily supposed to be that way. I know that I had a conversation with a girl and she always thought, for instance, sex had to be painful for it to be good. And I was like, pain does not equal good.
I mean, but that's the issue you run into. People just, if you don't know, you don't know. So
my take on it is, if you want to wait for marriage, go ahead, but mix in some masturbation. Figure out what you like.
Stop telling the people that.
Being real about it.
Don't listen to her.
Being real about it.
The point I was making is that the idea of the term Christian purity and this idea that, if you don't, there's something wrong, or, you've, made some major mistake. I don't believe in that. Whether, you're young, old, whatever, that's a personal decision for you to make with you and the partner that you have. It's not something that should be shamed, right? I think that's the problem with, to me, church in general. There's always finding a way to shame you. Whereas if you follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, that's not what he did. He embraced all. He was just like, hey, I love all of you. Maybe you don't do all the right things all the time, but none of you do, right? You're sinners. You can't help but sin. That's what you are. And through me, through faith in me, I restore you. I redeem you in the eyes of my Father. That's straight from the Bible. That's straight the heart of the message. And I think
but we're not a Bible podcast.
You're not a Bible podcast, nor a food podcast. But hey, we live and we eat and we pray to God. So a lot of different things. I just think we have to be cognizant of that. And I think anyone teaching purity without teaching the full gamut of what the Bible talks about, it's just heartening to me.
I mean, even the full gamut of sex.
Yeah, that's true too. If you're in your 20s and you're talking about getting married and you feel like you have to wait, if it's something that is a conviction in your heart, do it. We're not telling you what's wrong. But I am saying it is wrong to shame somebody because they choose a different path. And I think that's something that we get out of keeping in mind and keeping in tow in terms of just, we shouldn't be shaming people, right? If you choose to wait till marriage or if you choose not to, it's not like you're a Bible thumper and someone else is a whore. That's not how that works. You're both people making decisions that are right for you. So respect someone else's choices and, keep company that respects yours.
Your self-worth isn't in who you lay with.
Absolutely not. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. And click that notification bell so you are the first to know when we drop a new video. Until next time, later.
Bye.